Hey, Mikey, thank you so much for joining me today. I'm really excited to chat with you about Standard Wellness and your whole experience, really streamlining their purchasing and the amazing growth that you guys are experiencing. So thank you again for taking the time.
Of course, no problem. Excited to be here.
Sweet. So I'd love to start by just hearing a little bit about Standard Wellness and also your role as purchasing and procurement coordinator.
Yeah, so we are a MSO, multi-state operator is the language, and we are a vertically integrated company in most of our locations, which means that we have like a cultivation license, a processing license, and a dispensary license. So we are in Ohio and Utah and in our medical markets. And we just recently opened up a new facility in Missouri. It's our first recreational market. And then those are the places that we have current like moving operations at right now.
Super exciting, and congrats on that new opening in Missouri. That is
It's a long
unbelievable.
time coming. Yeah.
And so what does your day-to-day entail as purchasing and procurement coordinator at Standard Wellness?
It's like a lot of shopping. No, it's a lot of it's forecasting. It is planning. It is, everything. I purchase everything from, gloves for our facility to the soil that we grow with to, raw materials for our processed goods to our packaging, our labels and everything. So it's just, every day is a little bit different, but it's just a lot of project management, getting, everything taken care of, a lot of tracking, shipping, anything like that, anything you can think of.
Sounds very robust.
Mhm.
You got me when you said you do a lot of shopping. I'm like,
Yeah,
sounds
it's
like
not for fun things, but but it's I'm pretty familiar with a vendor's website.
sweet. So previously you mentioned that you were working at a public library. So for 10 years, right?
Great. 9 years.
So 9 years. So how did you decide to transition into the cannabis space and also this role in purchasing?
Well, I wanted the opposite of what I was used to, which was like one of the oldest institutions, with, one of the most, new and upcoming, avenues. It was just, a lot of my job previously was like budget planning, project management, facilitating in between, departments. So a lot of it actually applied. I worked at a nonprofit, so it was another, highly regulated field in terms of like legalities on like purchasing and stuff. So a lot of that actually transitioned quite well. The position requires someone to be pretty organized and cataloged, which is something that I have a lot of familiarity with.
That's awesome. Yeah, I can imagine that for people who haven't really been exposed to all of the different compliance related
Mhm.
technicalities in the cannabis space, that could be like very shocking, but it's good that you made the seamless transition from nonprofit to cannabis.
I did, yes.
Yeah. So I know that you started at Standard Wellness after they've already partnered with Order.co. So I'm
Mhm.
curious if you heard any rumors or tribal knowledge around what those vendor relationships and also the ability to access net terms looked like before Order.co came into
Yeah,
play.
I actually have heard just a little, and it was essentially which is that sometimes we have gotten like calls from certain companies that like kind of want our business now. And our, one of our head accountants said that she had a list of all of the people that had turned them away, when we were founded a few years ago. And there's quite a few of them who have like changed their tune and started contacting us. But I mean, like I've encountered, like I said, like my own vendors who would not go on terms with us for anything. So it's things that previously that my company was putting on a credit card. And the purchaser before me was part-time. I don't think leveraged order as much as they could have. So a huge task that I took on when I was early was basically like I really switched a lot of our recurring or our standard packaging purchases over to order.com. We used to spend quite a bit of money on our credit card that we don't anymore.
That's great. And then you have that totally coded, easily reported.
Right. Well, I installed the Chrome, the Chrome
extension.
add-on extension. So
Yeah.
it's really as easy as when you're on a page, is just, you know, clicking that button and then just waiting for it to upload into your cart. So I don't know if anyone was really taking advantage of that before.
Yeah, that's a huge little, it's a huge little feature
Yeah.
that when I speak with customers, they're like, my game completely changed when I found this little
Right.
extension
I've
that,
used it since day one of like using order. So I don't even think I would be able to do it. Like I would have to like learn how to add things without it.
yeah, yeah.
Like,
It sounds like you started off on the right foot.
yeah.
So on that same topic of really trying to make your purchasing process more efficient, whether it's with order.co as a whole or with that little extension button that you've been talking about. So how has order.co helped alleviate some of maybe the bottlenecks or manual processes that you would experience just regularly purchasing without a platform like Order?
I mean, listen, just like being like checking out a cart on a website, sometimes they ask you for a lot of information or it can take a lot of time. And if I have one order that has, you know, 6 different vendors on it, I only have to enter one time like my phone number and address and like where it's going. I don't have to, you know, enter my credit card information, my billing and shipping address and everything. So just pure like amount of minutes that I won't have to use anymore, which I can like devote to other things. I'm sure is a huge time saver. Being able to have like one centralized place that has like all of the orders in it with like the date, the vendor numbers, and then the tracking, you know, is also extremely helpful. Instead of just having to search around my email inbox for every individual item.
Yeah.
I think those are probably my 2.
Yeah, that's pretty huge.
Mhm.
So again, we alluded a little bit to the importance of accessing net terms. How specifically has that helped you on the purchasing side of things, right? Being able to have more cash flow, like how has that affected your ability to make the purchases that you need to do?
I mean, it's great because we'll be purchasing, say, like product packaging that we'll get in about, you know, 7 days, say. That gives us, you know, 3 weeks to sell through that product to cover, you know, the purchase that we made to package it. So it's just all of that, like to maximize our cash flow when you work in an industry that like is, you know, owned by like harvest cycles and production schedules where we're physically, you know, growing our products. It really helps because there's, you know, you take a lot of capital to grow during your cycle. So it's really helpful for a lot of situations like that, when we're trying to be in production on something before we have anything to sell.
All right, cool. So you spoke a little bit before about the time that order.co saved you with purchasing, whether it's not needing to shop around for other vendors and putting in all that credit card information. If you were to quantify how much time Order saves you per week, let's say, what number do you think you'd pin on it?
Man, well, so the crazy thing is that while order does save me a lot of time, I still spend a lot of time in order,
Mm.
but that's just because I'm buying so much. So, you know, I don't know. It has to at least save me, you know, 10 hours a week, I would say, which is like, you know, 25% of my work time.
That's huge. And I
Yeah.
think also the fact that you're living in order, so to speak,
Yeah.
that speaks to like the power of the consolidation, right?
Oh
Because
yeah. It's
you
a
don't need to go
permanent browser tab. Yeah.
anywhere. That's awesome.
I know order in and out. Like I know how to call. I know how to get a hold of someone. I know where to go. Yeah.
I love it. And you should. And
Yeah.
you should. So what feature would you say is the most helpful feature of the platform?
Okay, so for my company, the approval feature. So I do have like a few people at different entities who we used to, before I started, we had a lot of people had access to order. Um, and there was no, you know, rule of what got to be purchased. So I oversee everything. Like nothing is bought without me being able to look through it. So we still have like a lot of employees at different locations who like are on the ground, who know what they need. Like maybe a lot of it's like facilities needs, and they can still build up their cart, but it's really helpful to be able to know like responsible spend, what's going through, like what they're getting for their facility. So it gives just eyes, and like a level of security before things are purchased. The approve features was my favorite.
I'm so happy to hear that. I'm glad that it's working well for you guys. It's nice because in traditional purchasing workflows, people will tend to request a purchase, send it to someone's email, then they send it back. They say, yeah, it looks good. And then they have to go ahead and place that order. So I can imagine that just having it all streamlined in one
Right.
is absolutely key. And as you guys continue to grow, having those approvals in place is super important. Like you said, having those controls, having that wall there. So I'm curious, as you guys continue to expand to new markets, for example, you were talking about building out that recreational facility in Missouri and tapping into that new market. How has Order.co helped you really scale your operations?
Well, I mean, to be honest, what's great is that all of our items are already in our order system. So in like hiring new team members and building that out, everything's already there that they've needed. So it's not, the daunting task of kind of building it out, or for them to understand like what production items they need. Everything's already kind of in there on a list. So that's been really helpful. So I guess just like keeping things consistent and streamlined across these people work in different states and they don't communicate with each other. So it's kind of all held in like that one central location.
That's awesome. Yeah, especially like you said, it could be so daunting to go ahead and need to just be like, okay, I need to build out this facility. Like, where do I even start? And the fact that you have that starting point so organized is really fantastic to hear. So one of the really unique offers that we have for our partners, and specifically in the cannabis space, is our cash advance. So we're helping
Right.
businesses easily access up to 500K in capital at very competitive costs. And
Which
we're
I'm
really
sure we just used.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's so amazing that you guys have taken advantage of it.
Mhm.
And I would love to hear a little bit about what that process was like, actually like accessing that capital and going through that process, as well as what you plan on or what you used it for.
Yeah, well, I can speak a little on it, in the sense that we were looking for, for large scale capital equipment for our facility. This instance was a flower filling machine. And I can say that, it was hard finding traditional financing for it. And then the financing that we could find that was available, was a very convoluted process. And that when we had our call with order, it was explained to my vice president of finance how it works, and I think we were able to secure the cash, I think in like 2 days. And we had been working a lot longer than that, previously with a more traditional partner. So was quite convenient.
Sounds
Um,
very
yeah.
convenient.
Mhm.
That's awesome. And it's also interesting because didn't you purchase the flower, what was the machinery called?
The
Flower fill?
flower filling machine.
Yeah. Didn't you purchase it through Order.co as well?
Yeah, it showed up in my orders page. Yeah.
That is awesome. When do you plan on getting those machine?
I don't know. I don't know. It's off. It's off of my hands now.
Okay.
I don't know. There has to be a little some changes made to the physical space so it can accommodate it. But I think relatively soon.
That's awesome. And are there any other purchases that come to mind that you might want to take advantage of similar financing opportunities again?
There's probably going to be probably one more coming up. Yeah.
That's super exciting.
Mm.
What echoes or what did you hear from your finance teams when they went offline and heard about this offer for the first time?
He said he was surprised that the meeting was going to end up being so useful, I think.
That's so great.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people are pretty surprised by the offer itself. They're like, what do
Yeah.
you mean?
I
Like
think
how?
he was in disbelief for a second. Yeah.
Yeah, super exciting. And hopefully you guys can leverage it again and it can help
Yeah.
you grow.
I
And
think that it's very realistic that we will be sooner
so,
than later. Yeah.
yeah. So speaking of that growth, what other exciting plans are on the horizon for you guys?
Business wise, we're going to be working in Maryland, I think coming up next.
That's
Um,
very exciting.
yeah.
So what does
Um,
that mean for your plate of work?
I don't know yet. I don't know yet. Yeah. But that's all I think I can really share on that, which is like you can find it online, but that's what's
Yeah,
next.
it's a good teaser. Everyone can
Yeah.
go follow you on
Yeah.
LinkedIn, follow Standard Wellness on LinkedIn and
Yeah.
Twitter and Instagram. Do you guys have Instagram?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Standard Wellness Company. Of
There we go. Really sweet. Well, thank you so much for taking
course.
the time to chat with me and for telling me a little bit about your background and all the amazing things that Standard Wellness is doing, and how you guys have been amazing partners for us at order.co.
Thank you. No problem. You have a great day.
Thanks, Mikey. You too.